Alright, YouTube, it's Shadow King Nasu, and I'm here with my review of Shin Godzilla. So, I just watched Shin Godzilla yesterday on, online, and so, basically we know what the premise is, that basically Godzilla attacks Tokyo, or wherever city he's in Japan, and the Japanese basically try to find a way to deal with Godzilla, and how the subsequent movies would have add another monster in to have Godzilla either be the hero or at the very least an anti-hero, and so on and so forth. This movie, however, decides to do it differently, just focus strictly on Godzilla, and what it does differently than all the other Godzilla movies, aside from the American versions, and one of them I don't even count as a Godzilla movie. This Shin Godzilla does not acknowledge that the 1954 movie happened. So this acts like it's the very first time that Godzilla has ever came to public knowledge. And people are just trying to react to it. And I gotta say that is a rather interesting premise to see how modern people would try to deal with Godzilla. And I do like that it kept the horror aspect of the classic 1954 film. Because you watch the 1954 film, Godzilla is pretty terrifying, yeah. I was first introduced to Godzilla in, I want to say either with Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla or Godzilla versus Megalon. Either way, I was introduced to Godzilla being a hero, and he became one of my favorite characters. But then when I watched the original movie when I was like, I think 10, yeah, I got a real good dose of what Godzilla was originally like. But the downside of that is that you don't get this sense of horror on Godzilla until like he reaches his final form, which spoiler slash not a spoiler because it's pretty much known that now. Is that Godzilla has like evolution forms. He's like a first stage, a second stage, and this third, or I think they might have said it was a fourth or whatever. So that's the Godzilla. The final stage that he takes in the film is the Godzilla that we all know and love. The other two forms that we see, I heard people say that they were kind of horrified by them, but to me, they just look really goofy. I mean, one, he looks like this limbless, looks more like a fish, and his eyes are all. Did that look terrifying to you? Because it certainly didn't look like that to me. And then when he gets to the second form, he's able to stand up straight. He still doesn't have any arms, and he starting to look a bit more reptilian. And you get the classic 1954 roar. I mean, it looks slightly better, but it's still not intimidating. It's just when we get to the third form that it looks exactly like the Godzilla we should get. And as for the design of the Godzilla, I think the head is pretty good. Looks pretty good. The body, I got something interesting to say about it. It's really big, and I don't have a problem with Godzilla being big. I mean, he should be really tall and imposing. But there were the people who watched the 2014 American Godzilla version and that complained that he looked fat, which it really isn't. He's just really bulky. That's mostly muscle and armor. And the people that said that and yet like the Shin Godzilla design are complete and utter hypocrites, because this Godzilla is even bigger than that Godzilla, and he literally has thunder thighs. Thick layers of fat in his thighs. So yes, that Godzilla is fat. So before the 2014 Godzilla was the tallest Godzilla that's ever existed, and then Shin Godzilla became this one, and now we're getting this Planet Godzilla. I mean, Monster Planet Godzilla that's supposed to be the tallest one, be some 400 something feet tall, and it's a plant. Oh, plant. Oh god, that just sounds so stupid. Making Godzilla a plant. Let's not get into that. Uh, but and they also had this part of his tail is like it's not really scaled up, but it's like has muscle tissues and like I don't want to say a mouth, but just like a hole in it. And and they continue playing on the aspect of Godzilla's evolution, saying that showing that he adapts to things that things that nearly kill him. Like when he got on land, he saw a lot of things were getting in his way. So he had to evolve legs so he could stand up straight. Then he realized that his radiation was getting out of control, so he had to get back to the water so he could have his body evolve into something that could regulate his nuclear power. Then when the military attacks Godzilla and fire these bombs that cause Godzilla to bleed, so this Godzilla is not very durable, so the 2014 one has an edge over that Godzilla in terms of durability. But it is better than the 1998 version that got killed by the military loser. I mean, we don't call that one Godzilla, we call it Zilla. But yes, same thing still applies. He got killed by the military loser. And what it does is that it shoots its atomic breath, but instead of like the traditional atomic breath where it'd be either a blue stream of atomic fire or sometimes the red, like the Heisei version was the crimson spiral ray. It's more like a laser. You know, they say it was like a photon beam. So yeah, it's pretty much the atomic breath is pretty much a laser now, and he's able to shoot it from his mouth, which it can split open, and he shoots from his dorsal fins, so it's an area of effect move, and he's shooting from his tail, so he's pretty much covered well-rounded. And I thought that was both really cool and sometimes really, really dumb. It just looks kind of silly seeing him shoot lasers from his tail. I mean, I could have bought from the dorsal fins, but the tail was a bit much. And seeing the mouth split open, like it did look kind of silly and took away from its intimidation factor. But yeah. But all in all, I do kind of like the concept of the evolution things. I just felt that some things weren't handled out that well. But all in all, I say I do like this Godzilla. And as for going back to the atomic breath, after it used it to do large damage to the military and the city, it kind of had to rest. So this Godzilla doesn't have a lot of stamina, so it doesn't frequently use its atomic breath like the Showa and the Heisei version. So it's more like a last resort, like with the 2014 Godzilla. Though it's been said that the 2014 Godzilla was weakened by the Muto's EMP abilities, so we didn't get to see the Godzilla at full power. Plus, he was chasing them several times, so he didn't have time to get back at full strength. So in the next movies, we'll see what he's truly capable of at full power. But I wonder if Godzilla will be able to regulate his atomic breath so he can use it more frequently. As for the human characters, well, I did like how they kept them focused on Godzilla and trying to learn more about him, try to come up with ways to deal with him. and not try to use nuclear weapons against him, because technically that would kind of make things worse. That would probably make Godzilla stronger. But other than that, I didn't really care what was going on. I mean, one person in their review of the movie said that they're like this Japanese girl that's from America wanted to be president of the United States. Yeah, good luck with that. With Donald Trump being a clear example that people are not ready for a female president. But I didn't even remember that part about on the movie. So yeah, as usual, I don't really care about the human characters. So let's not talk about them. Uh, the music was pretty good. It was very uh, reminiscent of Akira Ifukube soundtrack. You even get to hear some of it remixed. And it did keep up with the tone, though there were some musics that felt like it belonged in a totally different movie that didn't fit with Godzilla, so I feel that worked against the movie. But, all in all, I have to say I did like Shin Godzilla. I mean, it kept the focus on Godzilla. You got to see that this is a very powerful Godzilla, with a few weaknesses. They didn't kill Godzilla. I did like that. So we get to see more of him in a sequel. So yeah, it's basically, this is like Godzilla if he had some powers akin to like Doomsday from DC. But yeah, I did like this movie. Now, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of you, especially the Shin Godzilla enthusiasts, shall we say, want to know, did I like this better than the legendary 2014 Godzilla, or did I dislike it? Honestly, I'd say they're about even. Now, they have things I like about both movies and both Godzillas, and things that I don't like. So I'm going to say they're about equal in terms. So that's my thoughts on Shin Godzilla. Next video, I'm going to be doing my thoughts on more about the legendary MonsterVerse with Godzilla and the upcoming kaiju movies. I'll catch you guys later.